welcome to Australian Book Travels and to our book recommendations for this week. Firstly, I will apologise. The last few days have been beautiful weather, 20, 21 degrees. We are coming into our spring now. We're only a week away. Not even a week. But today, of course, when I want to film, it's cloudy, terribly cloudy. So that actually changes the lighting in the room. And although I do have a large light to film with, I just thought it was a bit harsh. So I have candle and a lamp. Hopefully it's not too distracting, and hopefully it gives us a little... Hopefully you can see me. Without my glasses, I can't see you, but I'll put them on. We have we have 4 this week. Now, we have 4 because these are all from Fremantle Press. I did show you these, I think, last week. They came in the mail last week. The majority of them were... I had 7 from Fremantle Press. 6 of them were advanced readers' copies, and 1 of them has already been released. But I've read 4 of them this week in amongst filming and editing, and of course I'm trying to do things around the property as well. So before spring arrives, because of course out in the garden everything is just with the sun, and we've had a little tinkling of rain. So with all of that, it grows so quickly. We'll be in a jungle before we know it. So I'm trying to keep on top of that as well. It's all a little bit demanding. But anyway, let's get on to this. These 4 are from Fremantle Press, all brilliant in their own way, but all different. So now, as you know, I do not tell you the whole story. I don't want to do that. That is for you to discover yourself, but I will tell you the basics and what I thought. Okay, the first one I read is Jasper Cliff by Josh Kemp. Now, this was shortlisted for the Fogarty Literary Award. This is based in the Pilbara region in Western Australia, and it is about our protagonist's brother who has gone missing. And our protagonist flies to a town in the Pilbara where his brother was last known to be. And it's a number of stories, actually, but the basic premise is he's looking for his brother. Now, there are a few things about this. It's an amazing story. I really enjoyed the story. There are a couple of things going on that make you wonder whether it has anything to do with the brother going missing. But you shall see. I apologise, everyone. Arthur has just decided that now is a good time to scratch. So I apologise if you can hear him scratching. Yes, so it's slow moving. It is a slow progression of the story. It is atmospheric and actually downright spooky. Josh gives you the insight to a murderer. And it was disconcerting. It was amazing that he could do that. It's worrying that he could do that, but it added to that excitement and concern. And it just made it really worrying. And there are also some dreamlike states that some of our characters get into, and Is that their story or is it part of the story? You have to find out. Look, this was really good. It is slow, as I say, it is slow moving. It's not fast paced. It's so atmospheric. It really makes you feel the heat in the town and maybe the desolation as well. And sometimes that feeling of just maybe no hope, maybe no hope of the town or of the people, or is it just that they're happy just to be, and they don't need the bright lights of the city, and they don't need things going on all the time. It's really interesting. It's a little bit of it's a psychological thriller. That's what it is, but it's a little bit of a look at humans and how they behave and how they think. It's fascinating. Now, there are two things I do want to say about this, just to warn you. There are some choice, what I consider to be choice swearing words in here. So do be mindful of that. I know some of you are not interested or perhaps you're a bit concerned about reading books that have a bit of swearing in it. This does. But I think to some extent it adds to that feeling of outback Australia, a lonely country town feel to it. I have to be honest, I'm not a big fan of swearing in my reading, only because you hear it a lot out on the street and in fact even now in newspapers and things, and by some politicians even. So it doesn't, I'm not a big fan, I have to be honest, but the other side of that coin is that Josh is giving you the reality that this is how society is and this is how people can be. Not everyone, but this is how they can be. So he's just reflecting society. And I think we have to look at it like that. This is not a comfy read at all. It's not a comfy, cozy mystery or murder. It is a cliffhanger. Now, cliffhanger. I didn't mean that. That was not intentional. And the other thing with this is it has that insight into a killer, which can be quite disturbing. And also what I found right from the beginning was that it has an Australian feel and some colloquialisms to it. So if you are not familiar with the Australian outback or some Australian colloquialisms, you will still enjoy it, and it's still a great read, but you may miss the feel, you may miss the atmosphere. So they're the only two things. It's still a great read, but there are just those two things I want to let you know. This is Jasper Cliff by Josh Kemp. It will have you on the edge of your seat, although it is slow paced, which makes it even worse. I think it makes it even more atmospheric and more concerning. Now this is, let me see, 235 pages, published by Fremantle Press in Western Australia. It is due out, now I do have the paperwork here, it is due out on the 3rd of September. So if you have a mind for psychological thrillers, slow moving, you're wanting to get that atmosphere that Australia has at times, especially in country, sort of more remote country towns or the outback, this is the one for you. Good job, Josh Kemp. That was really good. The next one is Australian. They're all Australian, of course. This is Cutler by David Wish Wilson, again, published by Fremantle Press in Western Australia. Now, this is also due for release on the 3rd of September. Let me just double check. Yes, the 3rd of September. And that is why I wanted to get these out, these 3 particularly out to you, so that you are aware before they're released what they're about. This is about Paul Cutler, who is an investigator. He has a handler. Basically, he's undercover, but he's I got the impression it was freelance more than he has a handler, but it's not. He's not directly associated with the Australian police. This is a mystery. It's on the seas. It is about the underworld of the fishing industry, or the criminal world of the fishing industry. Really, really good. Really intelligent writing, and very real. It's definitely a book that you can't put down. It's a page turner for sure. Now, what he does, Paul Cutler is investigating on within the fishing industry and on the seas. He goes onto a boat. In fact, he goes onto a couple. The disappearance of an individual, of an Australian. And that leads him into other deeper, darker crimes that have happened within the fishing industry. And of course, puts his life at risk. Very intelligent writing, and has a lot to do with, it has a lot of, obviously, nautical, marine references. Now, obviously, because he's on the seas and he's investigating the fishing industry. This is really good. Probably, I mean, these books are for anyone, but I would suggest that these two are really good. Father's Day in Australia is coming up. I would suggest, I know they're not released until the 3rd of September, and I'm not sure, is Father's Day perhaps the weekend after that, or the 14th of September, I think, something like that. So once they're released, you could nab yourself a book or order it online from your local independent bookshop or from Fremantle Press directly, and perhaps have it sent out to dad or granddad or uncle or husband. I mean, obviously they're for anyone, but I'm just saying, because Father's Day is coming up, these could be really good as a gift. They're really good. This one is extremely intelligent writing, and it's gripping. That's what it is. Now, this is, let me tell you, hang on just one moment. I was up all night reading these. You don't have any sympathy. That's part of my job. 291 pages. So that was really good. Those two I recommend for Father's Day, definitely. Or grandfather. Or for your husband, partner, whoever. I think they're really, really good. Now, this next one it's meant to be a young adult book. This also was shortlisted for the Fogarty Literary Award. This is A Wreck of Seabirds by Kalia Olsen, also due out on the 3rd of September, and is, let me get it for you, 314 pages. Now, this is, it has a few storylines in it. It is really it is a story, a number of stories surrounded by the ocean. I'm not going to say any more. There is, I will actually, just a little, but I'm not going to say anything about the stories. It involves a number of characters, a number of main characters, and has a lot to do with the ocean. It is stories of grief and loss, and so much more. That's all I'm going to say. This is great. It's not just for young adults. It is for everyone. I read it and enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. There is one thing a couple of things I will tell you. There are a few main characters. One of them is returns to a country town because of his dying grandfather. And the other main character is grieving the loss of her. Well, her sister has gone missing. But it's so much more than that. It really is a great read for everyone, not just young adults. It's a bit gothic in nature. So if you're into young adult gothic novels, that's another hint for you. Really good. I recommend it for anybody. As you know, I recommend reading any book for any age, unless you are a very young child and perhaps the content or the level of reading is not for really young children. But apart from that, I think all of us should read all sorts of books for all ages. Gripping, really gripping. Enjoyed it, absolutely enjoyed it. Now, I have to be honest with you. This next one has been released. It was released earlier in August, I think. The beginning of perhaps the 14th of August. Doesn't matter. It was released earlier this month. And I have to say this is actually my favourite. This is Robert Edison, The Worsner's Tale. All Australian. They are all Australian. This story begins in Australia, but we land up following the protagonist, who is a detective or chief inspector. We follow him to Kent in the United Kingdom. His father-in-law, so to speak, his partner's father, has been involved in an incident, and a family friend has also been murdered. It's revealed that he has been murdered. Initially, it was just thought he died of natural causes, but he's murdered. But the murders are not, there are a few murders in this dating right back to the 14th century. This has elements of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, and that is explained in the beginning, in the prologue. So we go back to a pilgrimage of sorts in the 14th century to this country town in Kent, and one of the pilgrims or the knights are murdered, and we then that then relates to the present day happenings. I say no more. It is actually more about the mystery between the 14th century and current day. Now, this is one of the most, I'll be honest, it is one of the most intelligent reads I've had in a long time. It's comfy. It's a comfy read to a point. And there were one or two swear words in here, but they're in keeping, and it's not a big deal. It's a comfy read to a point, but it's it's a really intelligent read. Now, the use that Robert Edison makes of the English language is beautiful. It is beautifully, beautifully written. It's cryptic. The dialogue is cryptic. And once you become, the dialogue between the protagonist and his partner and protagonist and other people is cryptic. But once you get into understanding that, it's witty. That's what it is. It's cryptic and witty. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I genuinely could not put it down. I read it very quickly, sadly. And there are 2 books before this. Now, one is The Weaver Fish and the other is Bad to Worse, with the same protagonist. So our detective, Chief Inspector, who is Worse. His name's Richard Worse, it is. I cannot wait to buy the other 2 books because I'm really hooked into this. As I say, it is more about the mystery and the murders and the accidents just happen along the way. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was wonderful. Now, the other thing that I found very interesting about this is Robert Edison. It is one of the first mystery books that I've ever read with footnotes. And now, you don't have to read the footnotes to understand or to be enthralled with the story, but it is interesting to do so. I just really enjoyed this. I cannot say that enough. The Worseness Tale. Now, Robert Edison, I have since found out, is or was an anaesthetist, and I think he was a physicist or a mathematician. Don't quote me on that. I'll correct myself in the subtitles before I upload this for you all to view. But I'm fairly sure he is. Let me just try and make this. No, I won't waste your time. Oh yes, I will waste your time because it's not wasting. He studied medicine at the University of Western Australia and has a research MPhil from the University of Cambridge. He is a fellow of the Australian and New Zealand College of Anaesthetists and a diplomat of the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. Before becoming a novelist, he was a consultant anaesthetist and researcher, publishing in the neuroscience, biophysics and mathematical literatures. You can tell because it's an extremely intelligent read. It is a wonderful read. Anybody could read it. What I love about this, his use of the vocabulary use is just brilliant. There were a few words in here where I thought, oh, I don't know what that means. I'll just have a look at that. I'll have a look and see what that means. Now, to me, that is a good book. When you are encouraged to, whether it's intentional or not, you are encouraged to upgrade your vocabulary. I love this. I really, truly do recommend it. I don't think any one of you would be disappointed with this. It's fantastic. For any age, I would suggest, apart from very young, but absolutely brilliant. There's nothing too gruesome in it, and it is more about that connection or the very loose connection with the Canterbury Tales, which Robert Edison uses his own, which is the Pilgrim's Way. That is the reference, but it is loosely based on the Canterbury Tales. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I recommend. Not one of these do I not recommend. I think anyone anyone and everyone will get something out of one of these or all of them. I enjoyed them. You know, I'm a very comfy, cozy type murder mystery. lover, but these were all brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And particularly, I have to say, my heart is with this one. I like the protagonist. I warmed to him very quickly. And as I say, I will be buying the others because I thoroughly enjoyed this. That is out now. These are due out on the 3rd of September. Do yourself a favour and get yourself a copy, or buy all 4. Why wouldn't you? It is, if you buy from Fremantle Press directly, 2 or more books purchased, free delivery in Australia. You will have to pay for delivery if you live overseas, but 2 or more books directly from Fremantle Press, you get free delivery. However, I do advocate that you buy from your local independent bookshop. We must help the independent bookshops stay alive, stay with us, because there is nothing more magical and wonderful than walking into a bookshop and exploring the world. And literally in exploring the world, in any book in a bookshop, you can go anywhere, learn anything, and be transported to another time, another era, another geographical location. I do love the bookshops, and I love the smell of books, particularly old books. But yeah, there's nothing more magical. And I think, I'm a big fan of hardcovers, as you all know. But of course, it's really the story that transports us. So I recommend those. Fremantle Press. But you can, and really I encourage you to order them from your independent bookshop. Okay, enough on that. I will get this uploaded very quickly for today. I hope they have inspired you or interested you in any way. Any one of those, I think, will definitely should interest 1 or 2 of you at least. Okay, please don't forget our book competition. It is coming up. I have already written a number of the questions, so I'm getting ready. They will be released on the 1st of October. I will upload a special video with those questions only, so that you can then research them, and I will give you hints and direction as to which videos to watch. That is 6 travel videos and 6 book recommendation videos. There will be one question from each of those, and then you are not to submit your entry until the 14th of October. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. There are 2 winners, one in the Northern Hemisphere, one in the Southern Hemisphere. And we are wanting to support local independent bookshops, independent bookshops from one in the Southern Hemisphere and one in the Northern Hemisphere. That's it for today, I think. I will, of course, hopefully see you in the travel videos on Saturday. Otherwise, I will see you in the next book recommendation videos. And of course, we have the sneaky midweekers once a month. So that's September, which is only a week away. But more than likely, the next sneaky midweeker will be around about mid to late September. Anyway, I hope you're all well. I always think of you whenever I'm looking for books or reading or have ideas to go anywhere, to go to different places, which we do have some exciting places coming up over the next few months. I always think of you and hope that the content is interesting for you, or that I can inspire you in some way. The whole idea is to promote Australia, promote Australian authors, not wholly and solely, of course, because I do read other books from around the world, but to inspire you to read Australian authors and Australian stories, and hopefully from Australian publishers. Anyway, I hope you're all well. Please, happy reading, safe travels, and good eating. You know I always recommend that or suggest or hope that you're doing that. And I will see you next video, whichever one that is. Okay, take care everyone. Bye for now.